Okay, hot take, but I think black art is void of escapism. Now, wait, before you lynch me on that tree over there, let's unpack this a little bit. So the reason why I feel like black art is void of escapism is for a multitude of reasons, but the biggest one has to do with like art itself, like how art is supposed to be expressive and imitating life, but also expanding it. And so with that, when I think about black art, and I wouldn't necessarily say like paintings and sculptures, but even then I would, because I think about that sculpture in New York of that big bronze woman, and I'm not necessarily too fond of it. While don't get me wrong, I enjoy the sentiment in it, and this isn't a think piece on that sculpture itself, but I just would have loved to see something else. That was the first time to my knowledge that there was ever a sculpture made of a black woman in America, and it's like, dang, we gotta showcase the real of us, which is what I'm saying. Like, we can't escape from our reality as black people in this country. And I feel like one of the biggest reasons is because we never got reparations. I think about the Holocaust with the Germans. And I read this article a while ago and watched a couple of videos on it too, where it was talking about like the reason why Germany is kind of as docile as it is right now is because they took ownership of their part in the World War. And more specifically, they gave reparations to the Jewish people that were living in Germany, that are living there, and all this other stuff. Like they gave their dues. They apologized. It wasn't just money. Like they got rid of all of the Nazi stuff. They got rid of all of the books. Like in Germany, it's literal an offense, a federal offense to walk around with a swastika or something like that. Like in Germany, there is no evidence of Hitler or the Third Reich or none of that, which is why Germany is able to maneuver the way that it is now. And relatively speaking, it's like diverse, not as diverse as other places, but it's diverse. Now we swoop back to America, and what do we still have up? There's still statues of slave owners. We're still being taught about slave owners, so much to the point now where they're literally whiting out the sins of this country, with how they are educating the youth in grade school, with the critical race theory. Like, they're not teaching about slavery the way that they used to teach it. It's very much like, oh no, like they were cool being slaves and it wasn't that bad and it wasn't that hot, and yeah, they got whipped but they didn't get beat to like it's that type of stuff that they're trying to do. So it's just like this country has never paid its due for the atrocities that have taken place to black, brown, and indigenous people here. But now let's keep it in the scope of black, right? So with all that being said, now let's take a look at black media, black films, right? For the most part, and at once upon a time, I felt like there was some sort of escape around like the blaxploitation era, but even then you got to think about what they were personifying, what they were showcasing. Like, the reason why the blaxploitation jumped so hard was because it was black people slapping white people on the screen. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was crazy in itself. And basically black people being able to just talk crazy to white folks, and white folks having to just eat it. Like, that was a cool phenomenon. But even then, we were escaping, yeah, but like when you get into the subject matter of what those movies was really talking about, as far as impoverished cities and all of that other stuff, like, could you really escape then? And then, let's fast forward to the golden era in the 90s, where black cinema really was turning up. But let's look at the type of movies that we was making back then. Like, it was very much protest. It was very much like, I need to tell these stories because people don't know the real spill to the black plight, and to clue them in on what we go through, the injustices, the atrocities, the just tragedy of being black in America. You still couldn't escape. Like you think of the Friday franchise, which is a whole nother rabbit hole of a discussion, because I love the Friday franchise. I think it was pretty cool, but even then we still missed the point of the first Friday. What my niggas say, we used to fight with D's, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the whole point, or one of the big points of the movie, that as a people I think kind of went over our head, because we still out here shooting each other and not using knees, because you get to live another day. You fight, but you got to live. Like, come on, man. Like, that was the whole premise of the movie. But like, let's really talk about what was actually going on in that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas was down bad on their luck, the jobs and all this other stuff, and having to deal with the foolery of the hood. Like, that's a reality that black people live. And there's so many other examples that I can give, but this would end up being an hour long, and I don't want that, because what I'm really trying to get at is like, I think creatively black people are still shackled. Like, while, like, sure, we're not on the plantation anymore, but our minds are. Our creativity are. Our imagination is. Like, we can't, when I look at white art, or let me not say white art. When I look at, because it's not just them, when I look at the art that's being created by other groups of people, it's a lot more expressive and freeing, and I feel like I actually get to escape when I'm watching their stuff, compared to when I'm watching black people's stuff. We'll throw Tyler Perry in there. Granted, pause, we don't do any Tyler Perry slander on this channel, okay? That's my man's all the way down. But nevertheless, though, I still agree with the masses in the sense of like, damn, TP, like, we can't get no regular story. Like, everything gotta be drugs, sex, hood this, Ray that. Like, what are we talking about? Especially with him making movies for as long as he has. It's just like, bruh. But it's because up here, I think even with as creative as he is, I still think he's shackled creatively. And it's really sad, because black people are so creative. Let me talk about Misha Green. Misha Green did, I believe it was called Underground, which was slave related, so we not talking about that for real. But that is the jump off point for us to talk about Lovecraft Country. I don't know if anybody has seen it or not. Surprisingly, when I talk to other black folks and I'll be like, oh my gosh, have you seen Lovecraft Country? They'd be like, nah. It's just like, damn, what the hell you mean? Because Lovecraft Country is the epitome of escapism for black people. Like, sure, the backdrop is Jim Crow South, but that literally has nothing to do with nothing. Because the enemy in that show is not the white man. It's not oppression. It's not Jim Crow. It's not segregation. It's not none of that. The enemy is the monsters and the witches and the warlocks. Like, they got bigger fish to fry on that show than worried about what the white man is doing. Like, niggas was getting spells casted on them and was getting possessed. Like, the daughter, she had a crazy trope. And then the way that show explored like the female expression, but in the sense of blackness, where you see with, I can't remember her name, but the daughter's mama, when she just goes off into space and she has this whole I am moment where it's just like, who are you? What is your name? And she's like, Hippolyta, that's her name. That sounds like a disease or something. Oh man, I got Hippolytus. But Hippolyta, she's going on this whole journey of discovering herself and everything. And as a black woman, I felt seen, because I'm just like, wow, like obviously, on the inside you can be anything you want to be, but that speaks to why representation is so important, because you get to see what is required to actually find yourself and to be all that you can be or whatever. The only thing that sucks in that for Hippolyta and her daughter is just like you get this juxtaposition of like, and with me even thinking about it out loud, that's so crazy because you get this juxtaposition of a mother finding herself outside of her identity of being a wife and a mother, and her going on this journey and trying to figure out herself in life. And then you have her daughter literally like dealing with the fallout of what took place from her dad when they went, and all of them when they went to the castle and everything like that. Essentially like the child having to literally fight against the demons of their parents' decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like that's cool in itself. And even with that being a deep concept, you still get to escape into this world that Lovecraft Country created. And like, you know, for a moment in time, you don't necessarily forget that you're black, but you kind of like just get to chill in your blackness for a little bit and not have to, you're not thinking about segregation or how you're being oppressed. You're thinking about your inner self and everything. Because then you even got the episode with Letty's sister, who is played by that lady that's in Sinners. I wish I could remember her name, because she been on one, because she was also in like I think a couple Black Mirror episodes or something. She's talented, but long story short or whatever, there's an episode in there which is one of my fave episodes, where the sister, you know, she gets this potion to become a white woman. And like I kind of shopped this question around with some of my friends, and they were just like, no, I ain't never thought about being white a day in my life. And it's like, cool for you, gang. But like also on the other end of that spectrum, I've chatted with people and they said the opposite. And I myself have had moments in my youth where I've looked at white people existing and it was just like, dang, to breathe their air for a day, what would that be like? Not necessarily to be white, but what would it be like to have the privileges and the liberties and stuff that white people have in this country, specifically white women, you know what I'm saying? And so to see that embodied in an episode, but then like they go crazy with the sound design, because like, you know, she becomes this white woman, but for her to get back to herself, like you physically see her fighting out of the white skin, and you're hearing it crackle and tear and shred into pieces, and you're seeing the gore of the blood and everything like that. It's a very transformative type of notion in the sense of like, you know, like being white ain't all it's cracked up to be, which we all know, but it's just kind of like it was affirming in a lot of ways, because like I said, like that show, I just felt seen, not just as a woman, but like as a Black person, and I got to escape into this sci-fi reality that had doses of real life in it, but it wasn't like smacking me across the face all the time. And so, but like out of all of the Black media that's out, Lovecraft Country really is one of the only shows for me that as a Black person I actually got to escape into, and it was Black faces on the screen, a Black director, a Black writer, like it was a Black story that was told, and I got to escape into it. And so it's just like, in my roundabout way, I feel like Black art is void of escapism because of the oppression that still runs rampant in this country. And, you know, to some extent, as a Black person, it's hard to see yourself anywhere else, because you can't skip over the fact of like, oh, what would it be like to be during that time? Like, you know, there was this running trend on social media a while ago where it's just like, oh, you know, what would it be like to go back to the 1950s or the 1940s? And of course the white people got to turn up for that trend, but as Black people, it's just like, oh, like I would be enslaved or like, oh, I would be a sharecropper, I would be poor, or I would be oppressed or whatever. Like, you know, I feel like white people, you know, they can see themselves in every dimension. I feel like they live a fourth dimensional type of life, in the sense of They can go into the past and turn that up and turn it out and do whatever they want to do there. They can go into the future and shape that and make that whatever, and they can exist in the present all at the same time. Whereas black people, I feel like we live in a two-dimensional sense where it's just like, I am my past and I am my present, and that's it. There is no future. Like, the future is such an unknown thing just because of all of the stuff that we have to factor into our future. Like, I could get shot, or, you know, something could happen to me, or, you know, it's a different type of thinking that you have to walk around with as a black person. So we only exist in two dimensions, the past and the present. And because of that, you know, that's why I feel like that's why we don't see a lot of black sci-fi for real, or, you know, black movies that got vampires in there. Like, shout out to Ryan Coogler with Sinners, because for a moment in time I got to escape a little bit. Like, sure, it was Jim Crow, South Mississippi, Delta, this, that, and the third, but notice niggas was not talking about the white man at all. The biggest enemy in that movie was the vampires. Sure, the vampires had white skin, but those were Irish people. Like, that movie was getting into the intersectionalities of ethnicity and race and culture. Like, but at the end of the day, the op was a vampire. Had nothing to do with oppression or none of that. And for 2 hours, I got to just be in this universe of there being two Michael B. Jordans and like there being vampires that's out here doing the Irish jig, and even his little nod to the indigenous people of the land, because mind you, them was the first people that we seen in the movie when the dude was running and they pulled up on the horses, and you know what I'm saying, like that was a beautiful moment. And I feel like we need more of those moments. Like, as a creative, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, I know one of my missions is to just create different stuff. Like, shout out to Jordan Peele, because I forgot about him. He got that escapism down. Because Nope had nothing to do with anything. I got to escape into a universe where a big cowboy hat looking, alien looking thing was terrorizing people. And also too, I got put onto some historical stuff about, you know, the black people in Hollywood being the first people to have what was it, something with the horses, I can't remember, but like that was a cool movie. Us was dope. I still don't understand Us, but it was dope. All that to say though, I just kind of hope that in the future as black people we can think a little bit more outside of the box. Like, we can exist in the past and treat it as if none of that stuff was going down, because it's art, bro. Like, art doesn't have to be so exact to life sometimes. Like, let's think out of the box and make a 1960s 1950s period piece, and it's literally just about juke joints or whatever, and how, you know, and niggas having fun or whatever, and the biggest enemy is the crocodiles in the swamp or something. Like, or like, let's go to the future on some Star Trek type of time and be out here navigating the cosmos and finding aliens and discovering new species. Or like, there's so much more that we could be creating. And I feel like the industry, Hollywood, got it set up to where they only accept the black stories where niggas are bleeding on the page. Like, if it's not something about somebody getting shot and then or somebody dying, like if it's not laced in tragedy, then it's not authentic to the black experience. And I detest that notion, because while yes, I'm a black person and there's a lot of tragic things that have taken place in my life and to my people, at the end of the day, my life isn't overcome by tragedy. Like, it's not. Some of the art that comes out by us, long story short, I just don't feel like really is representative of how black people live in 2025. I refuse to believe in the propaganda that it's a lot more black people on welfare than it is than it is rich folks. I refuse to believe that. I think, me personally, I think there are more wealthy black folks out there than what they try to make it seem. I think as black people, we are a lot more forward in our living and a lot more progressed in the way that we think. I don't think it's that. Granted, the hood is the hood or whatever like that, but I don't think it's all black people don't live in the hood, and they don't come from the hood. 9 times out of the day, the black folks that is coming up nowadays are like middle class, upper middle class people that really don't know nothing about no sort of struggle, no sort of eating cereal with water, no sort of Vienna sausages, none of that. Like, I don't think the black folks that's coming up today are coming up in poverty the way that they be trying to make it seem. And I would like our art to reflect that. I'm tired of the trauma porn, the struggle porn, the slavery porn that we make as people, and then we sit up here and wonder why other races just think we a bunch of hoodlums, because that's the only thing that we show. Those are the only type of projects that we greenlight. Put the industry aside. There's a lot of black filmmakers that have their own companies and everything, but still decide to push this agenda. And I'll leave you with this. I was chatting with a friend a while ago, and they brought up this really good point. It was phrased in a question though, because we were talking about blackness and what that means and all of, what it entails and everything. And they asked a question that stumped me for sure. And it made me put stuff into perspective. And they were just like, what do you associate blackness with? When you think of black, what do you think of? Do you think of Ray Ray and Pookie and them and some hood, whatever, what have you? Or are you thinking of the beauty in black culture and all the nuances that we had? And unfortunately, my answer to that was, when I think of black, I think of oppression. That's immediately what I go to. I hear the word black and I think slave. I hear the word black and I'm thinking about niggas getting whipped with the trees on them. I hear black and I think about Emmett Till. I think about Eric Garner. I think about Sandra Bland. I think about that when I think of the word blackness, which is sad. And I know that not a lot of black people have that. They think of black and they immediately go excellence. But I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure that's your first thought when you think of the word black? Because it's not mine. And that's sad. And it needs to change. And as black people, we need to do better. We need to expand our minds. We need to think of something else. We need to see ourselves outside of the oppression. But I get that, because it's kind of hard to do when we're literally still being oppressed in 2025. Food for thought.